Okay, well, I know many of you have been waiting for this one, and this is the Power Ponies. And, okay, in this episode, Spike gets his hands on a comic that he's really into about 6 superhero ponies fighting an evil villain named the Mane-iac, who used to be just a harmless, power-hungry CEO, employer, whatever, of a shampoo factory, until she fell into a vat of shampoo chemicals and was given superpowers only in her mane and driven insane. So she's kind of like Dr. Octopus with her hair is now able to sprout limbs and grab things and whatnot. But yeah, and that's the Joker's origin story, of course, or at least one of them. But anyway, though, so he likes everything about it, except for the superhero's useless sidekick, who's only there for comic relief, but that especially starts to irk him because he starts to feel like a useless comic relief sidekick the next day after we first see him reading this comic, when they go to the old castle that keeps coming back, and kind of like how they're working what we've seen from there in, so I mean, yeah, it looks like we've got a running arc with this box and stuff, but anyway, so yeah, they go to fix it up for Celestia and Luna, and nobody needs his help, though. Like, he had to hit the hay early with Twilight to, rest up to help out, and then after all the build-up for that, they don't need his help. He's offering everywhere, everyone's just saying, no, we got this, and okay, so finally Twilight suggests he find a quiet corner to read his comic book, and which he does, but when he gets to the end, it's just an abrupt ending from out of nowhere, with like a few pages have been clipped off or something, but instead what he finds is a spell that transports him and the main characters into the comic book, where they have to fight the Mane-iac, and okay, they can only get home after she's defeated, so they have to master the superpowers of the Power Ponies, and Spike has to overcome his inferiority complex and be the key player, especially since he's the one who knows what all of this is about. He knows comic books and stuff, so okay, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell. But yeah, this one seems to be another pretty divisive one. Like, this is the first episode to prompt a debate in the comment section, so one of my videos, besides the ones between any of you and me, but yeah, just a debate between two people arguing about whether it was a good episode, and okay, so, and it seemed like I also inadvertently got a few other comments, and I think the primary concern here is that there's just a ton of references to, superheroes and stuff, comic books, etc., that are gonna fly over the heads of anyone who doesn't read them, and, okay, having seen this episode, I don't think that that's a big problem, that, yeah, that you need to, read comic books or whatever to really truly appreciate them. I mean, there are bits where Spike's line, like, holy new personas, ponies, where, okay, if you haven't seen the Adam West TV show, you might not know that he's making fun of Robin there, who would always say, but holy horseshoes, Batman, holy something, Batman, just, that was his catchphrase, but okay, and other than that, I mean, I think all you really need to know, if you know that there are stories about superheroes out there, and you can assume that they have powers like the ones the Pony Gang gets in this episode, that's really all I think you need to know to get the idea. So, yeah, and I mean, if you do collect comics or whatever, you might appreciate that, well, specifically what they were going for. The Rarity is Green Lantern, and Applejack is Wonder Woman, and Fluttershy is the Hulk, but, yeah, and I mean, I did get a lot of them, obviously, but I mean, yeah, well, rest assured, the True Blue comic book fans, they consider me a rank amateur. I've tried talking to them, or at most, like a jack of all trades. I did some comic collecting in like my middle school, early high school years before I switched over to more movies and TV shows, obviously, and reviews and stuff as my hobby. But okay, so still though, yeah, I got a lot of what they were going for. But all right, so yeah, and I don't. But even if I hadn't, I mean, yeah, I don't think that well, just as long as you've, I don't know, seen even posters and stuff, show and like I said, all I think you really need to know is that there are such a thing as superheroes, and they have powers like these. There really didn't seem to be a lot of inside joke type references besides the Spike's line, like I said, just one or two things like that. But otherwise, yeah, I think you should be able to get the picture just fine. What I do have a problem with is the fact that this comic book adventure story just feels kind of obligatory. Like, I mean, I don't want to say the stuff before that so much, but yeah, once they get into the comic book, I mean, it's all kind of stuff you've seen before in, well, these, I don't know how many times we've seen specifically this kind of story, but yeah, somebody gets superpowers and has to go use them. I think SpongeBob did this, for example, but stuff like that where, yeah, they get new powers all of a sudden, and they have to use them, and then round one, of course, everything they try is going to backfire because they have no idea what they're doing, and yeah, and then they're gonna get the hang of it some more, but of course the villain, though, because there needs to be the concern that they're out of their league, the villain needs to be able to spray or hit the heroes with the power of you lose, the plot device that just all she has to do is use it, and unless she, well, yeah, all she has to do is use it and just hit them with it once and they're done. And which, yeah, in this case it's the hairspray ray of doom or whatever. She sprays the gang with the hairspray ray of doom and they're totally frozen. They're just beaten. That's, yeah, the hairspray of plot device. But okay, so but she doesn't spray Spike because, or Humdrum as his name, the sidekick's name is, because yeah, that's who he's been turned into, the useless sidekick. So okay, because she thinks that he's just useless. She says, "Oh, it's kind of pointless, don't you think?" So she almost has fun making fun of Humdrum in this because she kind of gets the idea that the comic is going for, that yeah, he's just a useless sidekick who sticks around, who the ponies keep around because they feel sorry for him. But okay, so there's that, and also the action feels kind of obligatory. Like, I mean, I know that, well, you just hear that on paper, the pony gang turns into superheroes for an episode. It sounds like, it sounds great, it sounds like something that the fans, and maybe they do, but yeah, they'd be coming back to watch a ton of times. Yeah, like, maybe they do, but it's really not as much fun as you would think. Like, well, part of it is that half of them don't really even seem more powerful than they are just in the everyday world. Like, Twilight can shoot freeze rays now. They say she has all kinds of beams, but we only see the freeze rays, and she doesn't get the hang of that right away, so the only time she gets it is right at the end, where she's able to freeze the floor and make the bad guys slip up. That's all she does the whole episode, so yeah, she's actually less powerful than she is in the real world, where she is the element of magic. She has all kinds of powers there, but okay, so she's actually less powerful. Rainbow Dash, she's just Rainbow Dash in a costume. She has a little lightning bolt shaped gadget that allows her to control the weather, which she can kind of already do in the real world, but okay, but yeah, here it's, I guess, just more direct. She can create tornadoes and lightning bolts, but yeah, it's basically not much different. And same with Applejack, she has a magic lasso instead of the regular one she always uses, which we're told has superpowers, but I mean, that only comes into play intermittently. And then and the action too is kind of obligatory. The Mane-iac, she doesn't really do anything. When she first shows up, she starts throwing things at the ponies while they're on a rooftop. It's just, and it's kind of stagey, and it's not really like a fluid point-by-point action scene or anything like that. She throws stuff at them, and then they try their powers to counter her, and they all backfire. And then when they're fighting the henchmen, the henchmen are essentially targets, so yeah, they just point and shoot, and you got them, and except when the powers don't, like Twilight can't use her freeze ray right away, so okay, she can't even stop the henchmen until the very end. And then Pinkie Pie was probably the best drawn. Like, hers were probably the best, well, animation-wise, at least, the best set of powers given. The because, yeah, her power is super speed, which is pretty basic, and Pinkie Pie kind of already has that in the real world. Like, I know Dash is supposed to be the one who has super speed, but Pinkie Pie, when she wants to, can keep up with her just running on the ground. But, okay, yeah, now she has super speed, and they make you believe it's super speed. Like, she, you look at her, it's like she just is, like, radiating light. Her legs are, bouncing just like, I mean, Pinkie Pie at rest with these superpowers, she's still bouncing just like she's been supercharged, just like she has, like, just like a ball of energy. And then, yeah, whenever she runs and stuff, like, she's basically wherever she wants to be. She's so fast, just like a streak that that is so all over the place. It could be in one part of the screen at one point, and another part just, yeah, she's like so fast that she is wherever she chooses to be. But fighting the henchmen, she taps them on the back or says, "Tag, you're it," and then runs away. So, okay, yeah, that too. No, the action itself, even with the one superhero who does have a pretty cool design, just, yeah, very play-by-play, very obligatory, until the third act, which I'll get to that. But, okay, and then Fluttershy is the Hulk too. That's kind of a one-joke premise, because, yeah, she has to get mad to turn into the Hulk, but she is Fluttershy, so she's not inclined to get mad. And then the payoff to that too, when she finally does, I mean, it's worth it just because Fluttershy as the Hulk, that is the one-of-a-kind novelty right there, going crazy. Fluttershy, smash, all that. But yeah, just how they actually get her to it's not all that funny. It's, again, kind of obligatory. The bad guy hits a firefly, and Fluttershy feels bad for animals, so that makes her mad. And I mean, it's not like they weave it in with very sharp comedic timing either, just like the firefly shows up when it's needed for the gag. So, okay, but so yeah, but in spite of that, I would still say this episode is okay, and you're probably going to have a tough time believing me here after all that, because yeah, this has been a problem with, like, the past several episodes, that just I take so much time to go over the negative points, and it sounds like I'm just, when I say I liked it, it sounds almost like I'm just saying that in a mathematical sense or something like that, because, I mean, especially with the Princess Twilight Sparkle episode, I said it was a great episode and a good episode, and 4th of the 5 two-parters, and every single one of those is a standout in the show, a standout moment of the show, and I still had comments like, actually, I think I liked it more than you did, thank you, which, yeah, I mean, it's just, it is really hard to keep the balance and stuff here. It takes so much time to go over negative points than positive ones, unless they're, like, really positive ones, in which case you have to get into why they worked. If they're, like, one-of-a-kind positive points, then you have to get into why they worked, how they pulled it off and everything. But okay, if they're just good points, it's just, here's what they were trying to do, it worked, yay, versus negative points, it's like, okay, here's what they were trying to do, but if you see this specific point, it went wrong like this, and it like so, as opposed to, so yeah, negative points take so much more time to go over. But okay, I don't hate to like something, I swear. Like, every episode so far, except for Castlemania, for the, well, with that, but every episode besides that, I have enjoyed watching as much as I was trying to make it sound like. And this one, in spite of the fact that it, the first couple acts of the comic book story kind of a letdown, considering the premises, the Pony Gang turned into superheroes, I still had a good time with this episode, because, and mostly I think because of just the arc at the center of it, the story of Spike, with, because, well, okay, Spike's episodes so far haven't exactly been winners. He doesn't exactly have a great streak. I mean, I thought his last one, just for sidekicks, was by far the best, and even that was just, decent. But, so this one, though, is, I think, at least rivals that, because, I mean, they just really find a good way to even sort of give us the payoff to how the other episodes were maybe putting him down a little bit, making him feel like sort of the outsider of the group, or, yeah, not letting him have his moment as much as the others, because, well, just from start to finish, first they have that opening scene where he's up late reading his comic. He accidentally wakes up Twilight, who is trying to get him to go to sleep because they need to be up early for the cleaning the castle tomorrow. That was kind of just a sweet little scene. Like, I mean, Spike's so excited for his comic book, which, yeah, very cute and all. And Twilight, I mean, she isn't like, comic books, that's so, like, they actually they compare it to how she really likes to read. She's like, nobody knows the joy of getting caught up in a good story more than me, Spike, but I mean, we do have something to do tomorrow, and when he is telling her about it, you know, she pays attention. Like, she doesn't, I mean, she, you know, I mean, he's her friend, he's her, I don't know, little brother type figure, or whatever, but yeah, so, I mean, she doesn't, just try to brush him off. No, she wants to hear what he has to say, she tries to keep up, and I mean, so yeah, very sweet, and then he finally agrees to go to bed, but, you know, she can look out of the corner of her eye, she can see him still kind of reaching for the comic book, like he just can't help himself, keeping him up, so she turns on the light, says, alright, 2 more minutes, so, okay, just sweet little scene there, and then, yeah, how they're building it up the next day, they don't overplay it too much, that, yeah, Spike is the, comic relief sidekick, having him accidentally step in a bucket, and, you know, nobody wants his help. I mean, you can tell that, okay, yeah, they're getting at, he's kind of the, sidekick, or he ends up in the role of the sidekick, kind of like Humdrum sometimes, but, well, the thing is, it doesn't feel like pushing it that much, because that's how some of his episodes have treated him in the past. So, okay, and, yeah, then he gets sucked into the comic, and everyone else, too. I mean, they're, you know, they have no idea what's going on, this isn't their thing, but I mean, okay, they play this pretty smart. They don't try to go about it just like, okay, well, clearly Spike is the nerd of the group because he likes reading his comic book. I mean, and which probably more sort of relatable to the real world too. Just like, yeah, I mean, just because everyone else, this isn't their thing, that doesn't mean that they hate the idea or whatever. Like Rainbow Dash, oh, I'm a superhero now. Now I'm twice as awesome. And I mean, and Rarity too. You know, she tries to keep up when they're fighting for their lives. I don't know how they can talk to each other inside. When Rainbow Dash sucks them up inside a tornado, they can hear each other inside of it. But regardless, like, Spike's trying to get Rarity to help the situation. He's like, oh, wait, you have the power to form attack constructs. Well, what's that? You think of something, anything, and it appears. And she, at first, can't think of anything useful, but then she starts having more fun with it as it goes, and she's probably the only one who never backfires on herself at all. Just like, she just gets more creative as the episode goes on, and then she's having fun with it, just like, oh, I do so love a functional accessory. So, I mean, okay, then, yeah, I think that more relatable in the real world, because, I mean, this subject matter, I mean, it's not like it has to be a label for anyone, and I mean, okay, I know that I'm the rank amateur of Marvel canon, I'm probably a geek regardless, but I mean, even so, you know, there are people who, like, I mean, maybe like watching a superhero movie every so often, or just, I don't know, a show, or, you know, don't really like collecting comics, but, I mean, yeah, there are people who are just sort of, I mean, don't mind it, or just consider it maybe one thing they kind of like the Avengers made over $1 billion, so I'm guessing that there had to be, I mean, not even the fanboys can put out that much money by themselves, and guessing there had to be at least a few Fluttershies and Rarities in the audience, but, okay, so, yeah, I kind of like how they play this one, just like, it reinforces the show's theme, too, that, yeah, I mean, just because you're, more into one type of thing doesn't mean that you can't be friends with somebody who's more into a different type of thing, or even enjoy them and their hobby for what it's worth on their own terms. So, okay, I appreciated that, and also, and I should say, though, that even though it was kind of obligatory how they played the first 2 acts of how the story unfolds and the action and stuff, it's at least not so obligatory that it feels stupid. Like, Spike, after the gang is all captured and the Mane-iac won't even freeze him with the hairspray ray because she thinks he's useless. I mean, you hear him, as it cuts back from where the commercial would have been going on, like, yeah, she's right, I am a useless comic relief sidekick, and I mean, and they, and we've seen this scene a ton of times where, yeah, somebody's lamenting over how useless they are, even Rainbow Dash a little bit in, Daring Don't, where, yeah, they're lamenting how useless they are while the hero is over there being captured. It's like, okay, well, I mean, I'm sorry you feel that way, but you don't even want to try, like, you don't even think it's worth trying to help them now that they're about as down as they could have been, and then, but then you cut to where Spike is, and he's crawling through the ventilation of the factory that the Mane-iac has taken them to, so, okay, it's like, even though he's, yeah, feeling useless, that doesn't mean he's not gonna try anymore. He's still trying to infiltrate the lair and see what he can do. So, okay, but, yeah, then, what else? Well, I mean, I guess, just, you get it. It's obligatory, it has stuff like the gang charging right at the hairspray ray of doom, like, at least Syndrome from The Incredibles with his 0-point energy, at least he has to catch whoever he's hitting it with off guard, and at least it doesn't necessarily mean he's won game over, but, okay, but, still, it's, this episode did seem to be trying, like, it's obligatory in the sense that, it thought it was getting the job done with that, not in the sense that it doesn't care, but, okay, but especially, though, the payoff, that is where I think we really hit our stride, just, yeah, Spike listening to the Mane-iac's plan and listening to her bickering with the ponies, saying, like, oh, you're expecting Humdrum to save you. Really? He's useless. And Twilight comes back at her, well, maybe in your world, but in our world, Spike always comes through when we need him. Because, I mean, yeah, even though it's short, you know, you kind of, it really feels like there's something to it. I mean, just, it is sort of the payoff to all we've seen with Spike. Like, okay, is he really part of the gang? Because you come to realize that, I mean, throughout the show, even in the episodes that did sort of dump on him a little, like, he never really, I mean, he always really did seem to have a clear sort of a character and a genuine sort of relationship with these friends, like, even in the episodes where he was, or the episode where he was the bad guy, he turned into a dragon because dragons, a giant dragon, I mean, because dragons suck, or Dragon Quest, where he can't do it on his own. I mean, even then, it felt more in spite of what we'd seen than in line with it, you know, like, he really, I mean, I think that the, there doesn't seem to be any fan backlash to this character, or any, dismissiveness. Everybody, I mean, actually, a couple of comments even seem to say, like, I like this episode because it doesn't hand Spike the idiot stick, so, okay, you know, I mean, I think, in spite of everything, this show did always sort of want you to enjoy Spike as a character, and now here it's posing the question, okay, is he part of the gang? Does he have talents and stuff he can bring to the table? And, well, sure enough, I mean, when Twilight said, yes, he does, he always comes through for us, and Spike stands up and says, she's right, I will always come through for my friends, and then, yeah, crafty dragon that he is, he forms a trap for the henchmen, and, yeah, ensnares them, like, with a counterweight system, and I don't know how he managed to set all this up perfectly quietly without being spotted, but he did. He snares them all in a trap, and then he, you know, swings on a chain, kicks the henchmen, keeping the ponies frozen off his perch, so, yeah, the hairspray bottle, hairspray, freeze bottle, whatever, it falls over, the ponies are free, and they manage to turn the tide on the Mane-iac, picking up from the head start Spike gave them on the henchmen. So, okay, yeah, he, you know, just very sweet scene, and they saved the best stuff for last. I mean, it's still not, like, great action, but okay, we at least get to see Twilight use the freeze ray once, and I mean, it seems a little more fast-paced this time, a little more fun to, yeah, taking down the henchmen here, and we finally get to see Fluttershy turn into the Hulks and single-handedly defeat the Mane-iac, which, okay, yeah, that was just the sheer image of that, where she takes the Mane-iac's super laser beam right to the face, throws it back at her, and then goes and smashes the thing to pieces, smashes her doomsday device to pieces. That, okay, just, yeah, and everybody's just staring at her like, whoa, but, okay, that, a lot of fun. So, okay, this is a decent episode. I think, it's right up there with Just for Sidekicks, like, they said Just for Sidekicks. I guess it was also somewhat obligatory, but I mean, where it would gain an edge is that it basically hit its stride early on. It was doing everything that was fun about it, happened from start to finish, but this one just really has a bit, and the Just for Sidekicks had a small payoff where Spike steps up to the plate at the end. He apologizes to Angel Bunny and, yeah, gets everybody to come behind him as the leader. This one has a big payoff where he shakes off his insecurity and he saved the lives of all of his friends. So, I mean, yeah, that was very nice to see. So, okay, I think this is a decent episode. I will I will say, though, that his best outing is still technically in A Dog and Pony Show. I know he was only the co-star of that, but yeah, that he was the best episode where he was any kind of star is still that one. So, all right, and yeah, a little kind of a step down from the last one, but still, I guess show's fine. I mean, I do like that the show right now, it's really trying to get behind the characters like it did before. It's sort of shaking off the Season 3 syndrome, and I mean, I'm always so hard on Season 3, which, I mean, had as many good moments as bad, but, okay, but no, it did. One of its problems was that it just seemed to just be checking off stories it wanted to try, and I mean, that a lot of them felt, I mean, at least here, the characters, what they're trying to do with the characters doesn't feel so obligatory, whereas that just seemed to have story structures ahead of time that were just a little too rigid for the characters to do what they did. Instead, they're the ones who had to change when inserted into the episode. So, okay, I will give this season points for that, and then, yeah, all of the episodes, even Castlemania, I will give credit for that. They just, doesn't seem like it is able to, so yeah, it's definitely back in line with what it was doing before in the earlier seasons, and in some of the, well, the one or two of the very best episodes of Season 3, but it doesn't seem like it has quite the inspiration yet. Like, it's trying to find it. It came pretty darn close in the last episode. It just doesn't seem like it can hit quite as hard yet. But I mean, in many ways, it seems to be getting there. It's trying new stuff. It's we're still at least getting episodes like Flight to the Finish that, you know, right there would have been right at home in any of the other seasons. So, okay, that's looking up from here, but alright, the next episode is Bats, so come back for that one. We'll see where it goes from here.